So now what is it your girl's recording? Let's go ahead. Let's jump into this next damn reaction, shall we? Now, Patrick CC, shout outs to you. Why rappers are invading country music? Interesting titling. Interesting title. Right, like the right. That's what I'm saying. Like invading is like that's an interesting choice of words. So without further ado, y'all, let's get into the next video. Y'all, let's do it.
There are a ton of people watching right now that are like, I have never and I will never listen to country music.
That's
or
a
they say
lie.
something like, I listen to everything except country. And once upon a time, I was one of those people too. But you know what's going to change that? Hip hop's influence. Hip hop has remained uncontested as the #1 genre coming close to a decade now. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But there's
Well, as far as I'm concerned, no, but you know.
There's no denying that country music is rapidly increasing in popularity in the mainstream. In the last 6 years, country music streaming has increased by 287%. And I believe that country music's popularity, as it pertains to the mainstream, has a lot to do with the fact that they've been low-key stealing ever so slightly from hip-hop over the years. It is also evident that hip-hop and pop artists who have been dipping their toe in the genre is increasing its popularity. Big X The Plug, Lil Durk, Lil Uzi Vert, Kevin Gates, NLE Choppa, Post Malone, Beyonce, even Young Gravy are just a few of the many
Do the quality on this.
artists making country rap fusion songs. And if you're one of those people who will just never change their mind about country music, you do not represent the majority. And for all of you that are sort of on the fence, like you don't really prefer country music, but you don't necessarily have a problem with it, hip hop and pop artists are gonna slowly put out crossover hybrid gems that are gonna change your mind over the next few years.
I am going to say this that we've had this conversation as of last week, and I'm going to say this again on camera. Country music started from us. Country, like us as like black folks, like you know, jazz, blues, gospel, uh, fucking hip hop was birthed literally by us. You know, country music was one of those things it is that was created by us. Now, I had the conversation that I told y'all it is that Ray Charles is considered a country singer. And I showed y'all examples of what it is that I mean off like recording and stuff like that. Like a lot of the music within like the 50s and 60s and whatnot was onto the countryish side. Country music essentially is a storytelling. Well, music in general, even though music is subjective, but it should be storytelling in some form of way. It's relatable. And you know, if a good body of work is usually relatable in some form of way, or whatever things that's going on in life during your time, during that time of what's being created, you know. But this is why I get confused when I hear like it's like, oh, little by little it's becoming more of like a mainstream thing. It was just like, wait, but country I want to argue it is that like country music has always been a mainstream thing. No, no.
Today I want to talk about hip-hop's sneaky influence on mainstream country music and how that's going to change the future of the genre. Now we could go all the way back through the 60s, 70s, and 80s to hyper-focus on where the origins of country and hip-hop collided, but hip-hop's influence on mainstream country really started at the end of the 1990s. We all understand that country music has been marketed as the experience of life in the southern United States. Everything from their imagery to their subject matter correlates to their life experience in the South. Yet at the same time, many influential hip-hop artists also come from the southern United States. However, their imagery and subject matter correlates to their life experiences growing up in urban environments of southern cities. And let's not ignore the obvious elephant in the room. Nearly all popular country artists in the 90s were white, and nearly all popular hip-hop artists in the 90s were black.
I think at that time in the 90s, and yeah, I can agree that there was a lot of white country artists, country singers. I would say that, but I beg to differ. It is like it was a shift. It was a high shift from within the 60s. You've had things that is that are like if you want to consider mainstream, yes, because a lot of the stuff it is that was from us that's like, you know, country music, like blues, jazz, a lot of that stuff, well, unless if like you was a big one of like Motown's type of artist, you know, though that level of genre, a lot of stuff did not make it to mainstreams. That's why most people it is who were black that were country singers, blues singers, you know, like you know. all of those things, you would go to like nightclubs. You'd go at the night to start singing those places, or like strip clubs and stuff like that. That was notorious back then, and that in those times, to put your music out there if it wasn't in the mainstream. But I can at least I can agree to that. Within the 90s, there was a high fix of like, white artists that was doing country music, or at least being seen or projected as that. But I'll give you that.
Hip hop originated in New York City. From there, it emerged
Period.
in popularity in other urban or city environments throughout the United States. But for much of the 80s and 90s, largely in part of Biggie and Tupac's infamous beef, it was mostly understood as an East Coast and West Coast genre. However, there was an abundance of artists making great hip hop music in the southern United States. UGK, 8Ball and MJG, 3-6 Mafia, Goody Mob, Hot Boys. There are literally too many to name. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But this is why Outkast was booed at the 1995 Source Awards when they won the award for Best New Artist, because they were from Atlanta and everyone was so tied up in the whole East Coast versus West Coast thing.
Them closed-minded folks, you know what I'm saying? It's like we got a demo tape and nobody want to hear, but it's like this, the South got something to say. That's all I got to say.
While the East and West were fighting, the South was just working.
Hey, listen, a lot of rappers and people from we owe it to a lot of people from the South. Look at how many people within the hip hop industry from the South has been carrying hip hop, man. I could name so many as of right now, like, the new artists and also older artists as well. Like, come on now, stop playing with the South. But I will say it is during that time of when they did win that, there was a huge issue between East Coast and West Coast beef. And I almost want to go ahead and say it is of like, even though it started with Biggie and Tupac of that their feud. Oh, we're talking about like hip hop and also country music, how it collides and stuff like that. Right, you got little baby Young Thug, 21 Savage, Future, fucking Lil Wayne. Like, come on, like. And that's just to name a few. You said Megan and Beyonce both from Houston, Texas. You know what I mean? And there's other artists from Houston, Texas that are very notoriously fucking known as well. But Atlanta and Houston are like, for me, when it comes down to people from the South, you got Miami, Houston, Atlanta. There are so many Memphis. There's so many artists that come from the South that really either has been getting their shine or they need more of it at this point. But at this rate, I don't think it is that Tupac and Biggie knew to like how much of an influence of like the beef it is that they had that was going on. Ironically enough, Tupac was from New York originally, but then went over to the West Coast because he was more accepted over there and all the stuff like, labels, all that, you know what I mean? Dealing with Suge, all that shit. But if only it is that they was able to like do a redo on this, I'm sure it is that they probably would, to not get it to a point to where it is that both of their lives was being slain over, senseless violence. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but a lot of East Coast for a lot of artists that was well known as it today. Oh yeah, absolutely. Highway, he was also heavily influenced by Future, and absolutely.
And after the deaths of Biggie and Pac, there was an explosion in popularity of these southern artists. Outkast, Jermaine Dupri, Juvenile, Big Timers, Fat Pat, Scarface, Devin the Dude, Lil Jon, Missy Elliott, Jeezy, Mike Jones, Slim Thug. I could keep going. But there's a strong argument. Some
people probably gonna be like, wait, I don't know all these artists. Oh my God. Babies, bro.
To be made that some of the most influential hip-hop artists have actually originated from the southern United States, and they are without a doubt the most influential when it comes to the modern hip-hop sound.
It
was only a matter of time before someone
wave.
would be inspired by and fuse these two polar opposite genres that both originated in the same area of the country. And I'm not saying that he is the first to do it, but perhaps one of the most mainstream artists to do it was Kid Rock. Now, Kid Rock is incredibly cringe, and his need to make everything political nowadays definitely sucks. The fact that he, one, grew up rich, which already kind of doesn't necessarily portray the lifestyle of somebody who grew up in the southern United States, and the fact that he grew up in Michigan, which is not in the southern United States, kind of made him the perfect candidate to steal these two genres that he felt so disconnected from and merge them together. Like, he was so disconnected from both of them that he was the perfect person to really combine them, because anybody who really grew up in it probably would have just picked either or. Like, I'm either going to do country or I'm going to do hip hop. And there's
So you're saying he's an industry plant. Got it.
no denying that Kid Rock's music merged fans of rap, rock, and country together, which is highlighted perfectly in the 1999 track Cowboy, which sounds like a rap song due to the synthesized drums and hi-hats, as well as lyrics about moving to Los Angeles to become a pimp. It also features a blues harmonica, and of course the classic acoustic guitar, while showcasing that stereotypical Southern American imagery. Kid Rock is also very open about being inspired by Run DMC, and also look at how bro was dressing in 1999. It was blatantly obvious hip-hop was his fashion influence, and at the time, combining these genres and styles was considered fresh and innovative and exciting. It wasn't the best music. I'm not gonna say it was good or great. It was popular though, and although he wasn't exactly a country music artist, he had collaborated with and done shows with country artists, which allowed him to gain a lot of fans in that.
What pisses me off is people that don't know that New Edition and New Kids on the Block are from Boston. I heard that dumb bitch ask it, they're from Philly, and then they said, nah, they from Duncan's place. Oh yeah, I forgot Duncan's origin is Boston as well. That is very true. Like, I'm still listening to Trippie Redd's rock album, not rap, rock, and it has made me cry 2 times playing it. I mean, what type of a cry was that though?
That genre. Kid Rock's music undoubtedly led to other artists seeing what he was doing and then becoming inspired to do the same thing, which kind of creates this chain reaction of people being inspired by one another until you get so far away that you don't even really know who inspired what, or when the genre lines just sort of blurred together. Like Bubba Sparks, who grew up living a country lifestyle in rural Georgia but grew to popularity by making rap music. His image was the...
But hey, listen, Bubba Sparks, hey, he cool. He cool though. I fuck with him.
Stereotypical country boy. Fat white guy wearing blue collar clothes on the farm surrounded by other seemingly poor white people. But he was rapping. So as you can imagine, he attracted a large fan base of people that resonated with his image, but maybe they weren't necessarily hip to rap or they didn't really like it, and he allowed them to get interested in it. He bridged that gap, but only for a short moment, because it's not like he was this superstar. Sure, he had 1 or 2 good songs, but yeah, the gimmick dried up kind of quickly. And I'm not trying to downplay Bubba Sparks' career. I mean, he grew a strong fan base, slowly evolved his music and image, and his fans still rock with him 20 years later. So many artists don't know how to create...
I found you, Miss New Booty. Get it together and bring it back to me. Hit the Players Club. About a month or 2. I still fuck with that song.
Create that strong fan base that is going to fall in love with their music, which is why I created a music marketing newsletter called Tuned In, where I give the strategies that experts use to build a community of fans. After you pay for a membership at tunedin.marketing, or you can do it by clicking the link in the description, you will receive an easy to read email every Wednesday containing relevant music marketing advice, like what to post on TikTok, what hashtags you should use, or general music marketing secrets that experts are using to get full. Let my team do the work for you and teach you how to market so you can focus on doing what you love to do the most, make music. The next monumental country rap crossover was in the
Nelly
2004 collaboration of Nelly and Tim McGraw's Over and Over Again. This time the song sounds a tiny bit country, but if you listen to it, it really sounds like an R&B song.
I think about it over and over again.
Even the music video is depicting 2 men who on the surface seem very different, but then convey both of them living the exact same lifestyle. This song peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was a huge hit. And this is when we started to really see that hip-hop influence in mainstream country, like with the song Honky Tonk Badonkadonk by Trace Adkins, a song that is using the slang term badonkadonk, which was popularized in hip-hop by Missy Elliott's use of the word in her 2002 song Work It.
A lot of people do not know that. Wow. A lot of people have no clue to where that came from. But yes, that was the origin right there.
Trace's music video looks like a stereotypical hip-hop video with girls everywhere shaking.
Shadow, what you doing? Get down. You think I can't see you?
ass in a club. He is also wearing 4-finger rings, a staple of 90s rap culture. Even the idea of a country artist making an entire song about girls' asses was kind of new, but as we all know, was not even close to new in hip-hop. This track peaked at number 2 on the US Hot Country Songs chart, and number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and number 33 on the Pop 100 chart. As cringe as this song is, it was a smash crossover hit. And I know that there are country music fans watching right now that are like, this isn't real country music, this is a joke. We know. We're talking about the mainstream. The same thing can be said about rap fans. When Soulja Boy popped off, they were like, this is not hip-hop. Like, every genre experience is the same thing. We're talking about the mainstream here. Then in 2010, you had Dirt Road Anthem by Jason Aldean, where he is very poorly rapping.
Spread like I know something y'all don't know. Man, that talk is getting old. You better.
This song was floating around number 33 on the Billboard Hot 100 before a remix was released with Ludacris in June, which got many crossover fans, then launching the song all the way up to number 7 on the Hot 100. Then you have Florida Georgia Line, who came into country music with an overt love for autotune, an effect that was embraced and popularized in hip-hop, mostly by T-Pain, and also an effect that was kind of demonized in country music, at least in the beginning. The 2012 song Cruise by Florida Georgia Line reached number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 on its initial release. But then it dropped off the Hot 100 in February of 2013. A couple months later, a remix by rapper Nelly was released, and the song re-entered the top 10, peaking at number 4 on the Hot 100 chart in its 34th week. This proves that the acceptance and the crossover of hip-hop in country was necessary for this song's popularity and success. It also proved that mainstream country fans do like hip-hop influence, since the song stayed 24 weeks at number 1 on the Hot Country Songs charts.
Yeah.
For a long time, the stereotypical country song could be described as a white guy singing over a string instrument, wearing a cowboy hat while driving a truck on a dirt road. But the modern country artists are literally rapping over trap beats with 808s while wearing their sports cap backwards in the club or at a house party. From the beats to the videos to the auto-tune use to the way they dress, some modern country is more hip-hop than it is country. And since modern country is so clearly hip-hop inspired, then why is there so little BIPOC representation? This question got amplified to new heights when Lil Nas X blew up for his smash hit Old Town Road. You know, the longest running #1 song of all time at 19 weeks in a row. Lil Nas X tagged the song as country when uploading it to streaming services. Old Town Road debuted in the 19th spot on the March 16th edition of Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart, but the following week it was gone, having been moved to the Hot Rap Songs chart, where it entered at number 24. Outrage erupted online, with people saying that country music is racist and that they don't want a black artist on the country charts, and Billboard addressed that by saying the song incorporates references to country and cowboy imagery, but does not embrace enough elements of today's country music to chart in its current version.
I don't know, Chad. That sounded a little racism to me. That sounded like some jargon to me. Cause what? What do you mean by that? That don't even make no damn sense. Come on, bro. Don't piss me off.
So what does embracing enough country elements mean? Clearly they're not referring to the lyrics and imagery, because that's about as country as it gets, right? And they admit that it has references to country and cowboy imagery, so they must be talking about the instrumentation or the beat. And it definitely is a hip-hop song because of the beat, right? But that's where the lines get a little blurry, because if you're just determining that it's a hip-hop song because of the beat, then let's take a look at the longest running #1 Billboard country songs of all time. Last Night by Morgan Wallen. It has 808 drums and the classic hip-hop snap that was popularized in the crunk/snap era. Body Like a Back Road by Sam Hunt. Oh, that's a little baby 808 and yet another snap. Meant to Be by Bebe Rexha and Florida Georgia Line. I'll be damned. I'm seeing a pattern here. And those are the most popular country songs of all time according to the Billboard charts. So here's some more data that'll blow your mind. Just 2.3% of ACM awards and 1.6% of country music award nominees between 2000 and 2019 were people of color. Country radio
Wow.
played 11,484 songs from 2002 to 2020, and roughly 1% of those songs, or a total of 133, were by black artists. And that number gets even lower when you factor in how many of those songs were by women of color. Of the 11,484 country radio songs played from 2002 to 2020, only 23 were by black women. Mickey Guyton's 2015 single, Better Than You Left Me, stands as the highest charting country song by a black woman this century, peaking at number 30.
Wow.
That is until Beyonce broke that record in 2024, with a handful of her songs from her album Cowboy Carter breaking into the top 30 on the country charts, as well as becoming the first black woman in history to achieve a #1 album on the Billboard country charts. Then
And y'all still trying to snub a girl. I don't understand that. Y'all still be trying to snub Beyonce, man. Like, the amount of body of work it is that, like, she does and she proves each and every single time. She's been in this industry for so damn long at this point, and y'all just try to do her dirty every single time by not giving her album of the year, Grammys. Go ahead and give my girl that shit. Like, y'all be giving this to people like Adele. I understood with Adele, but even Adele was just like, "Hey, listen, this award should have went to Beyonce." You know what I'm saying? But y'all keep doing my girl dirty.
Shabuzi, who's another black country artist, dethroned her spot, making it the first time two black artists have led the Hot Country Songs chart back-to-back since the chart's creation in 1958. Currently, the #1 song on the Billboard Hot 100 for the past 5 weeks is a bar song by Shabuzi, which at first listen may sound like your stereotypical mainstream country song. However, it samples and interpolates an early 2000s hip-hop banger called Tipsy by Jaquan. And
Hey,
this
listen,
fusion of
I
hip-hop
like it,
and
though.
country is not going to be some one-off hit like Old Town Road. Shabuzi is here to stay, and he's going to be one of the prime examples of somebody who bridged the country and rap fan bases together and
You said Beyonce and Nicki has been snubbed for Grammys because they should have gotten them a long time ago. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've talked about this before with Nicki. Nicki definitely has gotten snubbed, especially this past one. They played in her face with the Barbie's World. You know, putting that onto the website and then be like, "Oh, sorry, that award wasn't supposed to go to you." That was some bullshit. But I like he's a really good artist. If y'all have not known about with him, please make sure this you do, because his music is fire.
thrive doing so. Shabuzi's story is so interesting because for the first 7 years of his career, he was a rapper. His 2022 album had a straight up drill record on it. So why did his career explode when he went full on into country? Did he always want to make country? Did he only pursue rap because he felt like he wouldn't thrive in country music as a black artist? I mean, now we know the data was heavily stacked against him. Now, while some people might think the whole point of this video was for me to say, country music's racist, that's not the point. Although there is some skeletons in that closet for sure. I'm just trying to say that with the rise of all artists in the pop or rap genre, dipping their toe in country or maybe just deciding to pursue country music as a whole,
Hold on now.
genre, dipping their toe in country or
Beyonce, Miss Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter. You knew damn well this now I gotta incorporate this. Now I gotta do this. Chat, mark my words, I'll be able to go ahead and do this too. This gonna be me at Berlin's ball, matter of fact. This gonna be me at Berlin's ball. Y'all gonna ask me the question and just like, oh, so are you gonna go there with the cowgirl attire and everything? You goddamn right it is that I am. How many blue cowgirls do you see out in this mother? You know what I'm saying? You gonna see one right there.
or maybe just deciding to pursue country music as a whole will lead to a much more diverse fandom, which will then lead to more fans becoming interested in the genre as a whole because they won't necessarily feel alienated or unaccepted in the genre, or they won't feel like, oh, I just can't relate to this genre at all. More specifically, as hip-hop artists as a whole doing crossover collaborations, that will slowly chip away at the people who are like, oh, I'll never listen to country music, and they will start to change their minds, which will lead to more diverse concerts and festivals and hopefully bring back some of that beauty we had in the 90s and 2000s where MTV would play a pop song, then a rock song, then a rap song, then a country song, and we listened to all of it. Like,
I listen to MTV. y'all had to go ahead and incorporate those things because of who? Michael Jackson, the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? RIP to the GOAT. Because during that Thriller album, and this is why I always will say, like, him and the early 1980s was just ahead of the time of like, I'm not trying to do the disco funk shit no more. We need to do a crossover. And if it wasn't for him wanting to go ahead and do those crossovers, and like, people didn't want to work on it and whatnot, the guitarist that did like the little single guitar of Beat It, he didn't even want to go ahead and get credit for that. That was years later when it was just like, oh no, that was me that actually did that solo part. Hi Arson. But if it wasn't for Michael Jackson's team being on MTV to be like, you better go ahead and put Billie Jean and some of Michael Jackson's Thriller songs and videos and stuff like that on MTV. Because at that time, MTV was barely playing any black artist. They wasn't trying to. I mean, there was probably just like one group that had like one black eye in there. I forgot the name, but that was it. That was it. It started with Michael Jackson, bro. I still live like the Thriller album's just like, it's still a heavy hitter still to this day.
Stand by the fact that the early 2000s was probably the most diverse time for mainstream music. And at festivals, you had like crazy lineups of different artists. You had literal rap fans listening to like AFI and emo music. We were diverse. Maybe Morgan Wallen, Shabuzi, and Post Malone will headline festivals with Big X Plug, JID, and Future. So yeah, if I didn't make it abundantly clear, I just think that country and rap colliding is a good thing. Don't forget to check out my music marketing newsletter. Link is in the description. I'm giving out marketing gems every single week. You don't want to miss out.
Hey. Don't be giving out no sneak peeks to my next vid. But, and listen, Patrick CC, shout outs to you. Thank you so much for the video. I'm glad it is that we can able to agree to that with hip hop and also with country music colliding and everything like that. We get a nice little nice little body of work. Shout outs to you, Patrick CC. Shout outs to y'all in the chat. Hey, and shout outs to you at home. I will catch y'all in the next video.